I am the true daughter, lost for many years and finally reclaimed. Everyone eagerly anticipates the confrontation between me and the false daughter. However, on my first day back home, I discover that the family has gone bankrupt. My biological mother, with tears streaming down her face, sells her jewelry to provide me with pocket money. The false daughter, clutching a plastic bag, declares her intent to scavenge for garbage to support me. I sigh, realizing that retirement is no longer an option. I must revert to my previous endeavors and take the false daughter with me to fortune-telling for profit. 1. As the long-lost true heiress finally reclaimed after years of wandering, I indulged in delightful fantasies of a serene retirement life. However, on the very first day of my return, the family faced bankruptcy. This was rather awkward. My biological mother and the fake heiress, whom we had raised for many years, wore expressions of profound guilt. Without uttering a word, the two of them hastily sold a plethora of jewelry to provide me with pocket money. My dear daughter, we had hoped to bring you back to a life of comfort and make amends, she lamented. Who could have anticipated that your worthless father would bring the company to ruin at such a critical moment? Fear not, we will sell our jewelry to support you, she reassured me. The fake heiress sincerely declared, Sister, do not worry. I have enjoyed a life of privilege on your behalf for over a decade. Even if I must resort to scavenging, I will ensure you do not go hungry. I remained silent. Scavenging? That seems unnecessary. Perhaps it is simply not in my destiny to enjoy a leisurely retirement. With a gentle sigh, I realized I would have to return to my former pursuits. I raised a smile, my expression serious. It's fine. I can earn money to support you both. 2. Sister, is this truly your method of making money? My younger sister, Su Luo, stared incredulously at the fortune-telling booth before me. I nodded earnestly. Indeed, I can read fortunes, analyze faces, and even exorcise spirits. Su Luo remained silent for a considerable time, then hesitantly retrieved her phone to search for a query. What is the prison sentence for fraud? A few minutes later, she grasped my hand with a complex expression. Sister, are you serious? I replied, I am indeed quite adept. Fortune-telling, face-reading, and spirit exorcising, these are my professions. Su Luo sighed despondently. Then pulled a plastic bag from her pocket. Sister, I think I will just go scavenging instead. At least there are no legal repercussions. Life is a long journey, and your future holds many possibilities. Do not jeopardize it, Su Luo advised as she began to dismantle my fortune-telling booth. After contemplating her reaction, I quickly understood her concerns. Rest assured, I am not a fraud. Nowadays, when people hear of fortune-telling, their first instinct is often to dismiss it as the work of charlatans. However, I am a legitimate practitioner. I halted Su Luo's actions and retrieved a blue certificate from my pocket. Look, this is my Taoist priest certificate, earned through legitimate examination. Su Luo gawked at the certificate, which bore my name and photograph, along with the official seal of the Taoist Association. Suddenly, she leaned in to sniff it intently. I questioned her. What are you doing? Su Luo candidly replied, I was checking for the scent of radishes on the seal. She suspected it might be a forgery. I couldn't help but chuckle as I took back my certificate. My younger sister certainly has a sense of humor. If you doubt me, then allow me to demonstrate my abilities. 3. Su Luo maintained her skeptical demeanor until I welcomed my first client. This young man paused noticeably as he approached the fortune-telling booth, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. He then shifted his gaze between me and Su Luo, his eyes darting back and forth for about half a minute before he walked past the booth with a look of disappointment. Just as he was about a meter away, I called out to him. I can read fortunes, analyze faces, and even exorcise spirits. The young man turned back, staring intently at me. You appear to be no more than 20 years old. The implication was unmistakable. At such a young age, how could I be a sage? More likely, I was a fraud. I remained unperturbed, calmly observing his facial features. Has it been 2 weeks? The young man looked startled and asked, What do you mean by 2 weeks? The onset of your nightmares, I explained calmly. You must have begun experiencing frequent nightmares about 2 weeks ago, and at times encountered strange occurrences. At my words, he hastily approached the fortune-telling booth. What else do you know? His eyes filled with trepidation. You are being haunted by a spirit. The dark energy surrounding him was palpable, and if left unresolved, it could pose a threat to his life. Upon hearing my statement, his complexion shifted dramatically, though he was clearly still apprehensive. I'll resolve your issues first, and then you can pay me, I offered. How much do you charge? He inquired. I glanced at his pockets. 3,300. He froze in astonishment. How do you know I have exactly 3,300? That was all he had, no more. No less. In that moment, a hint of curiosity flickered in his eyes. I gestured towards my booth. I am a professional. Su Luo stood beside us, wide-eyed. Before voicing a concern, you two aren't in cahoots, are you? Putting on a show for me? The young man eyed Su Luo warily, instinctively distancing himself. He appeared to have the most doubts. I cautioned, do not scare away a hard-earned client. Listen more and speak less. All right then, Su Luo replied dismissively, still clearly unconvinced. 4. The young man led us to a residential complex. He appeared hesitant as he approached a particular building, anxiously stating, I have a roommate with whom I share the lease. I need to inform him before bringing anyone home. He began calling his roommate, attempting 3 or 4 times, but received no answer. For a moment, he stood awkwardly. Ladies, I raised my hand and pointed in a certain direction. You reside over there, correct? The young man looked astonished. You can deduce that too? I shook my head. No, it's simply because that direction is saturated with dark energy. He dared not waste any more time, his demeanor shifting to one of greater respect. Regardless of whether I was a fraud or not, he recognized I was not an ordinary person. As he guided Su Luo and me upstairs, he introduced himself. My name is Zhao Yu. I moved in here 2 weeks ago. My roommate, Xiao Luo, arrived 2 days before me and is often elusive, making him hard to find.
I am Su Yan.
And this is Su Luo. So you are Miss Su. How long have you been involved in this field? Zhao Yu's curiosity was evident. I have practiced since childhood. As for whether I possess any genuine skills, you will soon find out. After all, until I resolved his issues, no matter what I said, he would remain skeptical. Zhao Yu smiled sheepishly. His rental unit was on the 4th floor. As we reached his door, Su Luo could not help but whisper, Do you not think this floor feels a bit chilly? Perhaps it's due to the geographical location? Since I moved in, I felt it to be rather cool. As Zhao Yu spoke, he opened the door. I scrutinized him closely. The young man had a rather bold spirit. I stepped past him into the apartment, which was laid out as a 2-bedroom, 1 living room, 1 kitchen, and 1 bathroom arrangement, offering a clear view of the entire space. Have you ever entered the room where your roommate stays? I turned to look at Zhao Yu. He shook his head. I have not, as we are not very familiar. Although they had lived together for half a month, they had hardly exchanged more than a few words. Did you not notice anything peculiar about the arrangement of this apartment when you moved in? I pointed towards a wall, where a bagua mirror hung, directly facing his roommate's door. Zhao Yu paused, looking somewhat lost. The landlord claimed it was merely a decorative item. Why not check what lies behind the bagua mirror? I subtly reminded him, gesturing for him to approach and take a closer look. Zhao Yu, taken aback, walked toward the bagua mirror and soon shifted it aside. In the next moment, he discovered a talisman affixed to the wall behind the mirror, its intricate patterns intertwining in a manner that was instantly unsettling to behold. This Zhao Yu stammered, unable to articulate a complete thought, standing there as if in a daze. The position of this bagua mirror directly faces the direction of your roommate Xiao Luo's bedroom. There is something very suspicious about him, I continued to caution Zhao Yu. In the half-month you've lived here, have you ever witnessed your roommate interact with anyone else? I probed. Moreover, did the landlord mention any other tenants when you rented the place? I speculated, if I'm not mistaken. You've never even seen your roommate step out of that bedroom. As I posed these questions, Zhao Yu's complexion drained of color, his face bereft of blood. Indeed, he had not seen Xiao Luo leave the room in all this time. He worked during the day and returned home around 8 or 9 in the evening, only to find Xiao Luo had already turned off the lights and gone to sleep. Throughout this period, he had never heard the sound of Xiao Luo opening the bedroom door. Surely, no one could go an entire night without needing the restroom, could they? A chill of dread washed over Zhao Yu. Initially, he had thought his roommate merely shy and elusive, but the more he reflected, the more his scalp prickled with unease. Half a minute later, trembling, he pulled out his phone and called the landlord. Landlord, I need to confirm something. Zhao Yu closed his eyes, summoning courage to inquire. Are there any other tenants in the apartment I rented from you? There was a palpable silence on the other end. Zhao Yu felt a surge of anger. You knew there was something wrong with this place and still rented it to me? The landlord's voice took on a tone of apology. Oh, Mr. Zhao, the house is certainly fine. It's just that sometimes strange noises occur. If you wish to move out, I can refund your rent, but I'm currently out of town and want to be back for a few days. Can we settle this privately? Zhao Yu abruptly hung up, realizing he was not a fool. The landlord had not spoken the truth. If the house were indeed without issues, why would the landlord so readily offer a refund? Gripping his phone, he felt a surge of anger rise within him, his chest heaving. At that moment, Su Luo couldn't help but tug at my sleeve. So, sister, what is the situation with his roommate? Su Luo's demeanor had shifted. If Zhao Yu was merely a pawn in a scheme orchestrated by Su Yan, it could only be said that Zhao Yu was an exceptionally talented actor. However, it was evident that Zhao Yu had indeed found himself in a predicament. It remained to be seen whether my sister could resolve it. I stepped toward the bedroom. Clearly, your roommate is not human. Both the Bagua mirror and the talisman beneath it are employed to suppress spirits. However, the Taoist who arranged them lacks the requisite skill to resolve the issue directly. I approached the bedroom door calmly and, without hesitation, delivered a swift kick that sent the door crashing open. Inside, the room was shrouded in darkness, the curtains drawn tight, allowing only a sliver of light from the living room to illuminate a portion of the space. Zhao Yu hesitated to advance. Conversely, Su Luo, undaunted by the unknown, curiously followed my side. I glanced at her and gently pulled her behind me. Be careful. Su Luo boldly remarked, there's nothing terrifying about this atmosphere. As she spoke, she reached for the wall switch, illuminating the bedroom and dispelling the darkness. In the next instant, Su Luo froze. Zhao Yu let out a blood-curdling scream, likely overwhelmed by the shocking sight before him, collapsing to the ground. Inside the room, a square table stood, adorned with a spirit tablet, and before it, an incense burner filled with ash. Surrounding it were various offerings, and behind the spirit tablet loomed an urn. The scene was undeniably eerie. Su Luo instinctively pulled back, saying, "Let someone else profit from this." I patted her hand reassuringly. "Do not worry, I am quite adept at handling such matters." Having exchanged glances with Su Luo, whose eyes were filled with apprehension, I gently ushered her out of the room. Then, with a flick of my wrist, I summoned a talisman that shimmered with a faint golden light, an invisible pressure radiating outward. I declared coldly, "If you do not show yourself, you will miss your chance at reincarnation." After a moment's hesitation, the figure finally materialized. Zhao Yu, trembling, cowered to one side. Xiao Luo. This was indeed his roommate. The absurdity of the situation was overwhelming. Moments ago, the room had been empty and now Xiao Luo had appeared seemingly from thin air. Even Zhao Yu, despite his earlier ignorance, now comprehended that Xiao Luo was, in fact, a ghost. Su Luo, too, was beginning to panic. It was her first encounter with a spirit, leaving her utterly bewildered. Xiao Luo, upon seeing the talisman in my hand, hastened to explain, "I mean no harm. He invaded my territory first. The commotion I caused was merely to frighten him away." Zhao Yu swallowed hard, near tears. "Brother, I just came to rent a room. We didn't know each other before this, and there's no deep-seated grudge. If you want me to leave, you could have just told me." For the past month, he had been plagued by nightmares, relentlessly pursued by spirits, or falling into various abysses without hope of escape. In recent nights, he had even heard unidentifiable cries. And at times, a chill would sweep past him unexpectedly. Even during his nightly trips to the bathroom, he had encountered hallucinations, witnessing sights he should not have seen. He was on the verge of being terrified out of his wits. Otherwise, he would not have entertained the notion of consulting a fortune teller. Who would have imagined that he would encounter such an absurd situation as a ghost while renting a room? Xiao Luo, with a demeanor remarkably apologetic, expressed heartfelt remorse to Zhao Yu, as if genuinely aware of his wrongdoings. It seemed that this matter was about to reach a resolution. However, I cast a cold glance at the offering table and interrupted their exchange. "Haven't you heard the saying?" "What saying?"
Su Luo inquired curiously.
I regarded the ghost with a wry smile. A ghostly tale. Had Zhao Yu encountered me a few days later, he might have lost his life here. His luck is exceedingly low. Even the 3 flames upon his shoulders have extinguished too. Did you intend for him to become a scapegoat? or to ensure that he would remain trapped here with you after his death. Seeing through his scheme, Xiao Luo's once amiable expression twisted into a snarl. Almost instantaneously, as my words concluded, he lunged toward Zhao Yu, his intentions clear. Unfortunately for him, at that very moment, I hurled the talisman I held. It landed precisely atop Xiao Luo's head. Simultaneously, Zhao Yu emitted a terror-stricken scream, his fear palpable. Xiao Luo's hand reached out toward Zhao Yu, mere centimeters away from seizing his throat. Xiao Luo's grotesque visage exuded a dense aura of malevolence, his eyes gleaming crimson, as if poised to devour him at any moment. You've ruined my plans. Just a hair's breadth away, Zhao Yu was on the brink of losing his life. Yet, unexpectedly, a young woman had emerged from nowhere. Zhao Yu stumbled backward, hastily widening the distance from Xiao Luo. Master Su, save me. I gestured for Zhao Yu to retreat further, then softly began to chant a spell to activate the talisman. The once arrogant Xiao Luo, under the talisman's pressure, fell to his knees. Before long, he could no longer maintain his human form, fading into a mere shadow, as if he might dissipate at any moment. At that moment, the distorted visage of Xiao Luo revealed an expression of terror and fear. Master, spare me, he pleaded, desperate not to lose his soul so soon. I too have met a wrongful demise here. I truly had no choice but to seek a scapegoat. This is genuinely my first time causing harm. He wept profusely on the spot. I cast a dispassionate glance in his direction, unconvinced by his lamentations. You may indeed be a novice in the art of causing harm, but given the opportunity, you would likely inflict pain upon others. I shall not extinguish your existence directly. Instead, I will send you to the underworld for judgment. With that declaration, I swiftly dispatched Xiao Luo to the underworld. Over the years, my rapport with the underworld had been quite favorable, allowing me to bypass certain bureaucratic hurdles. As for Xiao Luo, though initially a victim, he had chosen a different path and become an aggressor. After Xiao Luo vanished from the room, Zhao Yu and Su Luo remained in stunned silence for an extended period. Eventually, they turned to me with a flurry of questions.
Su Luo blinked.
Her eyes sparkling with curiosity.
Wow.
Sister, you can really exorcise ghosts. Your skills are astonishing. Su Luo was eager to inquire further, but I could not resist reminding her. Our client is still here. Upon hearing this, Su Luo turned to Zhao Yu with a cheerful tone. You're the client, you ask first. Leaning wearily against the wall, Zhao Yu inquired, Master Su, has this matter been resolved? When he mentioned being a wrongful death, does that imply there have been other incidents in this house? I nodded in affirmation. He likely became entangled with a previous tenant who was seeking a scapegoat and, in a bid to escape, sought to make you one as well. For specific details, I suggest you consult the nearby elderly woman. Zhao Yu replied, understood. Despite my repeated assurances that the house posed no issues, Zhao Yu, still shaken, adamantly refused to stay there any longer. As I departed with Su Luo, Zhao Yu respectfully presented me with a reward of 3,300. Let us add each other as friends, I suggested, subtly hinting at a few matters. The fact that Zhao Yu rented a problematic house could be mere coincidence or perhaps orchestrated, and I leaned towards the latter possibility. Zhao Yu seemed to ponder this, his expression shifting before returning to calm. I shall remember Master Su's life-saving grace. Zhao Yu's predicament had profoundly altered Su Luo's perception of me, leading her to follow closely behind, her eyes filled with admiration. This development felt somewhat unsettling. Please, do not regard me so, I said, feeling somewhat helpless. Su Luo nodded earnestly. I will heed your words. After saying this, the light in her eyes intensified. Suddenly, as if struck by inspiration, Su Luo declared, Sister, I'm going to post on social media to promote you. Exorcising ghosts? This is the work of a true master. I must let everyone know that my sister can exorcise ghosts and read fortunes. Her pride nearly misled me into believing she was the one with such abilities. Having successfully completed a client job and earned some money, I led Su Luo home. Throughout the journey, she typed fervently on her phone, alternating between fits of laughter and bouts of indignation. By the time we reached our doorstep, she was still engrossed in her phone. We're home, I reminded her. Su Luo, clutching her phone, abruptly lifted her head, her radiant face clouded with frustration. This is outrageous. I told them you can read fortunes and exorcise ghosts. And some people actually claimed you're a fraud just out for money. Enraged, she engaged in a lengthy quarrel with her superficial friends, ultimately emerging victorious. I couldn't help but chuckle. Such matters are inherently difficult to believe. Have you forgotten you didn't trust me before?
Suluo, slightly embarrassed.
Felt her fair cheeks flush with color. I believe you now. I believe wholeheartedly. I must tell Mom and Dad. They should be proud of you. She dashed back inside with remarkable speed. I maintained a steady pace, trailing behind, and as I entered, I encountered my father, Su Sudong, bidding farewell to a middle-aged man. Su Luo followed closely, her expression taut. Once the man had departed, Su Sudong let out a soft sigh. Su Luo couldn't contain her irritation any longer.
Dad.
You should grow up. Our Su family is no longer what it used to be. We must adopt a more cordial demeanor in business dealings. Besides, Mr. Lu has been quite decent, offering assistance during our most challenging times. Su Luo retorted, is that even a business deal? He is clearly taking advantage of us. Such is the nature of commerce. I share no special bond with him, Su Sudong replied gently, though his brow was furrowed with worry. I glanced back at Mr. Lu, who had already departed. I advise against collaborating with him. What? Su Sudong was taken aback. He has been in decline for quite some time. It is only in the past 6 months that he has experienced a turnaround and is now thriving. I had noticed certain telltale signs in his demeanor earlier. Su Sudong remained in a daze, while Su Luo eagerly interjected, Sister's predictions are spot on. Indeed, he has been extraordinarily lucky this past half-year, as if he has been granted some sort of boon. Only then did she realize she had omitted a crucial point. Dad, you must listen. My sister is incredibly skilled. You must heed her advice. If she says we shouldn't collaborate, then we absolutely must not. Su Sudong appeared momentarily stunned, trembling as he reached out to touch Su Luo's forehead. I'm merely experiencing a downturn. A thin camel is still larger than a horse.
Su Luo.
This is madness. Su Luo swatted his hand away. I am serious. I witnessed it with my own eyes. To convince Su Sudong and my mother of my capabilities. Su Luo insisted on convening a family meeting in the living room with the 4 of us. However, it hardly resembled a formal meeting. She recounted Zhao Yu's situation in detail, interspersed with numerous accolades for me. By the end, I felt that Su Luo could make a living telling stories. My father and mother listened, utterly dumbfounded, their faces reflecting disbelief. Is Yan Yan truly so remarkable? Su Sudong finally managed to murmur after a prolonged silence. I have merely practiced Taoism since childhood, learning for over a decade, and can barely hold my own, I replied modestly. Suddenly, my mother's tears began to fall. The path of cultivation must be arduous, and exorcising ghosts is fraught with danger. As she wept, Su Sudong joined her in tears. The atmosphere became somewhat chaotic, and Su Luo's eyes grew moist as well. In short, the situation was rather tumultuous. I earnestly emphasized, I have not suffered excessively. As for exorcising ghosts, I have always pursued them. They cannot withstand me and retreat swiftly. Yet the more I spoke, the more sorrowful they became. I was left with no choice but to remain silent. To be honest, I am not adept in such emotional matters. As someone who has practiced Taoism from a young age, I find it difficult to be swayed by emotions. After a long while, they finally regained their composure. Su Sudong choked on his words, Daughter, we will make amends for your sacrifices. Su Luo chimed in, Sister, rest assured, I am not the type to scheme against you. I will ensure you are well compensated for the years I have taken from your life. She vowed to make amends for the years she had usurped from Su Yan, insisting she would never engage in any heartless or despicable acts. I nodded in agreement. At that moment, it seemed they had forgotten that I could read faces. Both Su Luo and my parents were not narrow-minded individuals. It was precisely for this reason that I was willing to return when they invited me back home. Su Sudong's collaboration with General Lu naturally did not come to fruition. He resolutely declined the offer. However, General Lu, after being spurned, made another trip to the Su family. I stood quietly to the side, observing him, and as I had anticipated, he resorted to underhanded tactics. Utilizing dubious methods, he siphoned off the fortune of others. Su Sudong's demeanor was so forthright that General Lu ultimately erupted in a fit of rage, shouting, I approached you for collaboration to offer you an opportunity and lend you a hand, yet you failed to recognize the favor? Have you considered who is willing to assist you now? Do you truly believe the Su family remains as it once was? Do not come crying to me in the future. In that moment, General Lu's face twisted in fury, prompting Su Sudong to step back and create distance between them. General Lu's emotional state was decidedly unsettling. As he turned to leave, I seized the moment to speak. General Lu, it seems your luck has been rather favorable these past 6 months. May I inquire which temple you have worshipped at or which deity you have sought? Upon hearing my words, General Lu's contorted expression suddenly froze. He stood motionless for a moment before glaring at me with ferocity, retorting, I do not comprehend what you are saying. With that, he hastily departed. Yet, unbeknownst to him, his stride was noticeably unsteady. I watched his retreating figure as I casually tossed a talisman into the air. Su Sudong approached and quietly inquired, Yen Yen, has his business truly encountered problems over the past 6 months? Indeed, I nodded. Do not wander about in the coming days. Keep your distance from him. I have matters to attend to. General Lu was merely an ordinary man. He could not possibly grasp the intricacies of Taoist practices, which indicated that he had someone guiding him from behind. Coincidentally, the matter concerning Zhao Yu is still not entirely resolved. My intuition suggested a subtle connection between these two situations, and I have always preferred to take the initiative. I called Zhao Yu with a clear purpose. Let us meet with your landlord. Zhao Yu readily agreed. His rent had yet to be refunded by the landlord, who had previously stated it would take 2 or 3 days, and now the time had come. Zhao Yu arranged to meet the landlord at a nearby cafe. During these past few days, Zhao Yu had also uncovered the specifics regarding the apartment. Xiao Luo had moved into that apartment a year ago, but within 6 months, he had met his demise there, reportedly claiming to have seen unclean things before his death. Prior to Xiao Luo, there had been an incident involving a young couple who were on the verge of marriage. They had even finalized the bride price. However, the young woman suddenly discovered her boyfriend's infidelity with a colleague. Consequently, plans for marriage were abandoned. Yet, her boyfriend refused to accept the breakup, and during a heated argument, the young woman was murdered. In a desperate attempt to eliminate evidence, her boyfriend dismembered her body. The case was swiftly solved, but since then, strange noises had frequently emanated from the apartment during the quiet of the night. It took the landlord 2 years before he dared to rent the apartment again, leasing it to Xiao Luo. Following Xiao Luo's tragic end, the landlord refrained from renting it out again, even hiring a Taoist priest to perform rituals. Logically, given the history of fatalities, the landlord should not have dared to rent it out again merely 6 months later. This suggested that someone had intervened, scheming against Zhao Yu. Before long, the landlord arrived at the cafe, and upon seeing Zhao Yu in perfect health, his eyes lit up. You are completely unscathed? He asked. Zhao Yu, bewildered, retorted, what do you think could have happened to me? Lose my life? I was merely concerned about you. The landlord attempted to deflect. Thanks to you, I truly came perilously close to losing my life. Zhao Yu's face was a picture of fury. Had it not been for my good fortune, your apartment would have seen its 3rd homicide. The more Zhao Yu pondered, the angrier he became. How could the landlord have dared to rent out such a property? The landlord appeared increasingly guilty. That cannot be said. I did consult a master, who assured me that the apartment was clean, which is why I felt comfortable renting it out. Furthermore, Zhao Yu was indeed unharmed. I exchanged a knowing glance with Zhao Yu, who immediately understood and proceeded with the previously agreed-upon line of questioning. Which master did you consult? Do you have any contact information? Upon hearing this, the landlord hesitated. The master's contact information is not to be shared lightly. Zhao Yu pressed on. I nearly encountered a mishap recently. My mind is in turmoil and I require the master's assistance. Either provide me with the contact information, or accompany me to the police station to discuss your concealment of the homicide associated with the rental property. Should this escalate, your property will be irreparably damaged. The landlord was left speechless. He sighed and provided the master's contact details before reluctantly refunding the rent. Just as he was about to leave, I interjected, How did you choose Zhao Yu as your tenant? The landlord appeared momentarily surprised, then candidly replied, I did not choose him. After the master performed the ritual, he stated that a tenant with strong yang energy was necessary. Since I am not well versed in these matters, I entrusted the selection to the master, who then chose Zhao Yu, after which I finalized the rental agreement. After the landlord departed, Zhao Yu's complexion turned pale. So, this truly is not mere coincidence. But I do not have any particularly fierce enemies, Zhao Yu lamented, his thoughts in disarray. I reassured him, do not worry. We have obtained the master's contact information. You will handle the meeting, and I will take care of the rest. Zhao Yu nodded repeatedly. I will follow your lead. Following my guidance, Zhao Yu promptly reached out to the master. Since Zhao Yu was the master's intended target and was still alive, coupled with his proactive contact, the master would undoubtedly seize this opportunity. Soon, Zhao Yu arranged a time and place to meet with the master. The following evening, I accompanied Zhao Yu to the agreed-upon location with the master. The master was decidedly ostentatious, residing in a 5-star hotel. Upon noticing an additional person accompanying Zhao Yu, he furrowed his brow, asking, "Why have you brought someone with you?" Zhao Yu explained, "This is my friend. She has recently encountered some troubles as well." The master scrutinized me, and then Zhao Yu. "Although you have breached the rules, my benevolence compels me to extend my assistance, albeit reluctantly." With that, he began chanting spells over Zhao Yu, and after a few minutes, he handed him a small red pouch. "Carry this with you at all times for 3 days and nights, and all your problems will be resolved." He then turned his gaze to me. "Young lady, do you have any troubles? Is it a matter of romance gone awry, or issues in your career?" I smiled at him, lightly uttering the word, career. The master appeared to understand immediately. In the next moment, I snatched the red pouch from Zhao Yu's hand and, within the master's bewildered gaze, kicked him to the ground. The master, taken aback, had not yet grasped the situation, likely due to the suddenness of the event. "What are you doing?" he exclaimed, both enraged and confused. I opened the pouch and tossed its contents at his face. "You dare give him such malevolent items?
Speak."
How much is Zhao Yu's life worth?" Inside the pouch were strands of hair from the deceased and talismans drawn in blood. Wearing such a thing would surely attract a multitude of spirits the moment one stepped outside. Simultaneously, I gestured for Zhao Yu to open the restroom door. Once he comprehended, he hastily ran over and soon emerged from the restroom with someone in tow. Zhao Yu, filled with fury, exclaimed, "Is it truly you?" I cast a sidelong glance and saw it was a middle-aged woman. "Is this a family affair?" I inquired. Zhao Yu nodded, saying, "My father's newly married wife, my stepmother, has only been in the family for 3 months. 3 months, and she was already contemplating his demise? Truly, a heart as venomous as a serpent." Zhao Yu scoffed. "The old man has barely saved up 2 million. Is that meager inheritance truly worth it? If he were to perish, wouldn't he, the old man, be next in line? And then, the 2 million would fall into her hands, allowing her to blissfully seek her next target?" I clicked my tongue and shifted my gaze to the master. At that moment, he had risen, wielding a wooden sword crafted from a century-old locust tree. As he swung the sword, an ominous wind swept through the room. "You foolish girl," he bellowed, brandishing his weapon to conjure a formation. I observed in silence for a few seconds, and as he summoned the malevolent spirits, I delivered a swift kick, sending the master, who had been posturing moments before, crashing against the wall. When he fell, a loud thud echoed, indicating he had sustained considerable injury, blood oozing from the corner of his mouth. As for the 2 spirits he had summoned, they had yet to approach, when I had already contained them with talismans. In simple terms, this master was not only inept in combat, but also devoid of wit. He exhibited no sense of discretion, failing to remain vigilant in times of peace. Meanwhile, Zhao Yu's stepmother struggled to escape, shouting and striking him. "You have no evidence. How dare you accuse me of harming you?" I cast a cool glance her way. "Before my arrival, I notified the official investigation bureau. They will thoroughly investigate this matter." To put it plainly, this scheming stepmother was indeed calculating. Had Zhao Yu's scheme succeeded, no one would have suspected her.
Yet,
Zhao Yu lingered for a moment at the fortune-telling booth. His fate was not meant to end. As for the subsequent handling, that was the responsibility of the official investigation bureau. Shortly thereafter, officials arrived to apprehend both the master and Zhao Yu's stepmother. As an external consultant, I casually mentioned, this master likely had more than one client, including that General Liu, whose career has been flourishing these past 6 months. He probably resorted to such vile methods to borrow luck. Coincidentally, as we departed the hotel, we encountered General Liu. Previously, I had cast a talisman on him, severing his borrowed luck. Considering the timing, his fortunes should have taken a sharp downturn in the past couple of days. After all, borrowed luck must ultimately be repaid. I surmised he had come seeking the master's assistance. Upon spotting the master, He nearly lunged forward in a frenzy. Master, save me. My luck has been terrible these past few days. The master spat in his direction. Get lost. Can't you see I'm in dire straits myself? Lu stood frozen, bewildered by the situation. I approached at the opportune moment, softly saying, So, General Lu was seeking this master? Lu turned to me, momentarily taken aback. What are you doing here? I replied with a smile. I'm here to escort this master to the authorities. What else? Should I let him continue to harm innocents? Lu's expression shifted dramatically. He charged at me, his face twisted with rage. You've ruined my fortune. I will kill you. I was taken aback. Borrowed luck had evidently dulled his senses. In broad daylight, in front of the official investigation bureau, he dared to attack me without needing to lift a finger. He was apprehended. You are being investigated for using unorthodox methods to accumulate wealth through borrowed luck. Come with us. 2 vehicles sped away. The officials left Zhao Yu's contact information, as he would need to provide a statement later. This is truly unexpected, he remarked with profound emotion. He had not wished to involve himself in family matters, yet to discover that his father's new wife harbored such treacherous intentions was astonishing. When he had previously mentioned enemies, he had thought of the stepmother, yet deemed it unlikely, considering that upon his father's passing, she would inherit a substantial fortune. Little did he know, she intended to seize everything, including his share. Master Su, I am immensely grateful. Had it not been for the reliable Su Yan, he would have truly been doomed. No need for such formality. You paid for my services, and it is my duty to assist you. I will continue to set up my stall in that location. If you encounter anyone in need of my services, do feel free to refer them to me. After exchanging a few words with Zhao Yu, I turned to leave. The hour was growing late. It was time to return home for dinner. I also needed to inform Su Dong about General Lu's situation. As for tomorrow, I would certainly continue my stall, for the family had fallen into bankruptcy, and I could not allow Su Luo to scavenge for a living. The end of the text. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next story.